Hey everybody, it's Miss Samantha back with some more OT tricks and tips. This week I'm going to be working and focusing on writing. So the first video that I'm going to be making today is for my pre-writers, kiddos that are still working on their pre-writing shapes, which they're lines, horizontal, vertical lines, circles, diagonal lines, squares, triangles, X's, pluses, all those ones. And then some of them actually might be working on the letters in their name as well. So I'm gonna go over things to do with them at home. And then my second video that I'll be making will be for my more advanced writers who are writing words and sentences with some tips and tricks for them as well. So feel free to watch that one and know where to help your child progress when they get there. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is grip. The way you hold your pencil is very important. We want our kiddos to learn how to hold their pencil right when they start to write, so they can start to build all the little muscles in their fingers so they can be good functional writers as they progress with their writing. So the way I usually start teaching a kiddo how to hold their pencil is I teach them go fingers and stop fingers. So you can have them practice pulling those two fingers in. You can give them little toys and tell them, okay, hold it with your stop fingers, and have them practice so they can really get that feeling of holding them in. Some of my kids have a really hard time telling the difference between all of the finger movements. So any activities that can have them practice using those fingers separately is going to help get them warmed up for writing. So you could also use nail polish or Sharpie and paint the go fingers green and the stop fingers red is another way if they need that cue. Get them to get in that position and the pencil goes in the little curve between their thumb and pointer, and then they pinch down and hold it. If your kiddo's struggling with keeping these fingers down, get that little toy out, that little pom-pom. A little pebble works as well. Have them try to hold it or hide it. Tell them to put if it's a little figure, tell them put the little figure to bed and have them hide it in there. And they may not start writing right away using their fingers. They might still use their wrists, but they're still practicing using all those little muscles. So they'll eventually get to the point where they're using their fingers. So once you've focused on grip and you start your writing, I'm going to show you a few other ways that you can practice those pre-writing shapes. I'm going to turn the camera down on my paper. So one way is just by doing the shape. Okay, we're going to do a line down and then have them imitate underneath. Line down, and you can move through all the different pre-writing shapes and then have them do it below. Another way you can do it if they need a little bit more support is get a highlighter out and do the shape with the highlighter. Have them take their pencil or crayon and have them do it over the highlighted line and move through all the different shapes and have them practice. When they're ready to progress from that, usually a lot of my kiddos can get the lines and the circles pretty well, and they're more ready to move on to like slanted lines or squares. You can give them little cues by drawing little dots on the paper and having them connect the dots, and then it will make the shape that way. So have them connect the dots. Another fun way, if you have a kid who's resistant and they don't want to hold a pencil or crayons, but you still want to work on some of that stuff with them, I just went to my pantry and got some salts. You could use flour, cornmeal, any of those kind of thing. Put it in the bottom of a baking pan and have them practice line down, and then they get to shake it back out, put it back down, whoop, and they can practice circles, and they can practice even the letters of their name. If you don't have that, or if you want to get a little more messy, you could try shaving cream on a baking sheet. Most of my kids have done that with me, and it's always a hit practicing, so have them just do the letters in the shaving cream. If getting messy isn't your cup of tea, which isn't for everybody, go ahead and grab some Play-Doh. If you don't have Play-Doh, there are some pretty easy recipes out there for ways to make pretty good Play-Doh. If you need one, just feel free to email me and I can send you some that I know work pretty good. You can practice those pre-writing shapes with your Play-Doh, working on rolling out logs. They can practice holding their line the way, line down, line across. They can connect it and make circles. They can break it into little pieces and make triangles. All different ways that you can use that. Same thing for letter formation. So that's with the Play-Doh. I don't know, some of you may have these lying around. Wiki sticks, these are another thing I use. These are just essentially like wax covered yarn. They stick to most surfaces, which is kind of nice. So sometimes I'll use them on my whiteboard and have the kiddos make the shapes and press them onto the whiteboard. And they can even spell out their name, or they can do whatever shapes, but they'll even stick to a wall. You can use them on the bathtub wall. And check it on your paint though. I can't for sure say it won't mess up your paint, so it might be better to stick with a whiteboard or maybe a window. I'd hate for you guys to get your walls messed up from one of my suggestions. And I think that, the other tip that I wanted to tell you guys, when your kiddos are working on coloring and you want to work on their pencil grasp, I use these little crayons, but they are essentially just little mini crayons. You can take any crayon and break them into little pieces. That way when they're coloring, they cannot hold it like this, which some of my kids like to hold it like this. That way they can use all these bigger muscles to color. But if you break the crayon, they have to pinch it and they have to use those littler muscles to stabilize and hold the crayon. So that's a quick, fun, easy way to get them to work on those little muscles. So anyway, that's my tips and tricks for my pre-writers, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need any more ideas. And I hope you're all staying well. Take care.